What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Snake Room podcast. How you doing? Let me just get the comments up. Let's see who's in the building tonight. So hello, whatnot. Got a few in already. So if it's your first time here, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss another Snake Room podcast episode. Who are we doing? Let's drop some names in the comments. Who's watching? Who's out and about? Tell me what you're doing. Cleaning snakes? Anything like that? My Herp Shed. How you doing? Wolf Matrix. Hello, mate. Wicked. So, as normal, my DM's been going off. People wanting stickers. So anyone else wants stickers, please drop me a message and I'll get some sent out to you. So let's get our guests on for this week, and that is the podcast. Pete and Marissa, how you doing?
Hi.
All right.
Hello. So, let's get into it. First question. Where are you based?
Just outside of Peterborough. So we're actually not too far away from you, really.
Okay. I forgot you were from Peterborough. Yeah. Whereabouts on the outskirts?
We're kind of about 15 minutes north of Peterborough, so more towards kind of Spalding kind of way. If you know the area, kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about 15 minutes away from Peterborough, about an hour from Nottingham, kind of about 15 minutes from Spalding. You know, that kind of we're in the middle of basically everywhere. So kind of, but
yeah, I know it quite well. I used to live in Peterborough for about 5 years, on and off for about 5 years. I went down there to work for a bit, and then I ended up doing more work down there than what I should. So I was the resident DJ in Edwards Red Room Flares. I done that for about 4.5 years.
Sorry.
It's weird. It's strange because Peterborough, there's a lot of people go out, but there's not that many places to go.
No,
there's more like chilled out places. Like you got the boat on the docks or on the water. Was it Chires? Chires.
I don't remember the names. It's been so long.
And then, yeah, since they've been open. Yeah.
Peterborough's kind of got a strip of a few kind of clubs, and that's kind of you tend to bounce between one and the other, and then you go, right, night's over, and then you go stuff a kebab in your face and you go home, have a nap.
Yeah.
So
plenty of kebab shops in Peterborough, I must admit. There's loads. So where else did I work? I think I've done Yates for a bit. There was a nightclub across the road from Edwards that was called Attica for a little while. And I took a job there, and then I realised that it was basically just a load of drug dealers that bought it. And basically they were washing their money through the books of the nightclub. Because every week there'd be a different manager. It's just nuts. No. Peter, there's definitely some characters in Peterborough, let's just say. But no, I enjoyed my time there. It was fun. But then I moved back home, back to Ipswich. But that's enough about that. So you were based in Peterborough, and so how did you get started with the ball pythons or reptiles, or how did it all come about?
I guess I'll let Marissa talk because she's got a lot more history and just more interesting in general than mine. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I started in 2013 actually, mainly as a reptile keeper. I wasn't breeding anything really back then. So my family, my dad in particular, we always had quite a lot of animals, a lot of pets, and you know, like cats and dogs and guinea pigs. He had chickens and tropical fish, so nothing really exotic.
Yeah.
But that's probably where it started with his sort of love of animals. And yeah, we had some axolotl at one point, because that's a kind of, well, it's not really a tropical fish, but if you know what that is, it's close to like a salamander type.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So not quite a lizard, but
Yeah.
I guess the first time I saw a snake or held a snake was I went to a chordata event, which is kind of like newts and yeah, like lots of newts, frogs, dart frogs. Like it was really nice to see those things. And someone there had a rosy boa, and I'd never seen a snake before. And to be honest, I was really tempted to buy them because the person there was really like pushing it, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a setup. I had nothing, so I sort of left that and you know, told my friends. And one of my friends I knew was really interested in snakes and had always been really interested in snakes, and they were, I guess, they were really taken by that. And we started to visit a local. It was really a garden centre, but it had like a reptile and like animal part thing attached to it. And so we'd go there on a regular basis. And she really wanted a corn snake. And every week she'd talk about this corn snake. And I ended up learning a lot about corn snakes. And we'd go like every weekend. She'd never buy it. She'd go have a look, and then leave. And eventually it got to the point where I was just like, if we keep seeing this damn corn snake, I will buy it myself.
Right, okay.
If you don't buy it. Because I'd heard so much at this point, and we sort of came to the negotiation that if I bought a snake, she would buy a snake. And honestly, like, I don't know if it was kind of if she gets in trouble, I get in trouble. Because we're both at home with our parents and stuff, but I was a much more free-range child. My parents really didn't mind, so I ended up bringing home a hognose.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, I was really after the size aspect because the rosy boa is quite small.
Yeah.
And corns get quite long, not really a large snake, but they do get, you know, they have the length to them.
Yeah.
I went with a little male hognose, so he really didn't get that big at all.
Yeah.
So I got the setup from them, what they recommended. Some of the advice wasn't great. Like, that's a different story. Some of the advice I've heard not great from a lot of shops.
Typical pet store.
Yeah.
But we sort of learned together. So I guess having both of us have a snake really helped us both learn a lot more. But yeah, like I had him for a good year, and he was a really good snake. Like, I really enjoyed having him. But he did end up biting my boyfriend at the time. And so they are rear fang venomous. It's not really a big deal, to be honest. And often they don't bite. But this bite was a food bite right after a brumation. So it was a proper latch-on bite. And it wasn't painful. I'll, you know, throw that out there. Like, it wasn't even really noticed. It was just like, is he biting you? I was like, yeah, it definitely is, yeah. And so probably the amount of casual to that didn't help the situation, because we're just like, oh, that's not great. So we tried to get him off. Water was what we used at first. A lot of people just say run him under a tap, and that didn't do anything. We had mouthwash, like I guess it must be the taste of the mouthwash or the alcohol. That didn't work. In the end, we just used like a credit card and got it underneath his fat teeth. To, basically prise him off. And everything was fine for a little while. And then slowly his hand started to puff. And it started at sort of like where the bite was, but then it slowly took over the whole hand and then started going down the wrist.
Oh, wow.
So that, I don't know if that was an allergic reaction to that bite, or if that's what that bite is supposed to do, or a particularly bad bite. I don't think normally that's a typical reaction. But
how long did it take to go down?
2 days.
Okay.
So we took him to the walk-in centre.
Okay.
And we went to the walk-in centre and up the desk, and they were like, what's your problem? And just like, I've been bitten by a snake. And they were like, like, obviously it's not a usual common thing. And this just sort of
balloon hand
slammed his balloon hand on the table. And they were like, oh, it's a 6-hour wait. And we're just like, oh, could it not be any faster than 6 hours? And he was just like, no, I think I'll just take an antihistamine and go home. And the woman behind the counter looked like she was about to have a heart attack. But obviously she didn't make it any less than 6 hours. So that's exactly what he did. He went home, took antihistamine, took a couple of days off work, and it slowly went down. But it was probably at least twice the size of his hands, of his other hands.
Okay, I knew they were rear fang venomous, but I didn't realise that it could do quite that.
I don't think they usually hold on.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone that's had a hog nose, that's even anyone that's had a bite from a hog nose, then have that kind of reaction. It's just they kind of go, oh, typical kind of snake, tag. It's like you get a tiny dot, and then that's it. Nothing happens. You carry on. But
it was right out of brumation, so he was ready to eat, and it was the first meal he had, and he completely missed the mouse, and he went straight for the fleshy part of the hands.
So, what's a hognose like as a pet? Because obviously I've had ball pythons and I've had corn snakes, whereas corn snakes just want to get away, and then obviously a ball python just sits there. Are they in the middle somewhere, or
in the middle? Yeah. They're a nice, like, rough texture compared to a ball python. They have a really nice feel to them, and they're a lot more grippy. But temperament-wise, I'd say it really depends on the animal. They do have, like, we have some that are really flighty, some that are really chill. But the one I had was quite relaxed, but moved a little bit. It wasn't just just a ball.
Yeah. Ball pythons sit there and like I say, in the middle. So what year was that when you got that?
We got it in 2013, and then in 2014, not long after the bite, we gave them to a mutual friend of ours who also kept hognose and still does. Okay.
So from the hognose, what did you move to? Did you go straight to ball pythons, or was it like lizards and stuff? Or
I did, yeah. I've been looking into it for a while, and I wanted a larger snake at this point because male hognose especially stay really tiny for a long time. So I wanted something a bit more interesting, I guess. And I went with a local breeder who had royal pythons, and they actually had champagne. So I went with a champagne as my first.
Okay. Cool. So I got into this. I bought a snake because I was scared of them.
Yeah.
And I got a corn snake. And I actually bought it in Peterborough as well. Where did I get it from? I want to say there was a shop in like Dogsthorpe. There's a pet shop in Dogsthorpe.
There's a Lincoln Road. It's it's the dodgy area of Peterborough.
No. It wasn't Lincoln. No, it wasn't Lincoln Road. I remember Lincoln Road. Yeah.
Awful.
I mean, there's good and bad of everywhere, isn't there? But
Yeah, exactly. We've got a funny, like, you've got Lincoln Road, and ours is pretty much the same, but it's called Norwich Road. So and it's exactly the same. So it's just like
I like how you name our dodgy roads after some other place.
Yeah.
So like here we've got Norwich Road, and I call it Little Romania. That's basically similar to Lincoln Road and Peterborough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got my corn snake from there. I think I got the corn snake and everything, like the tub and that, for like 70 quid. And that's where I first saw a ball python up front. Because obviously I was scared of them, so I wanted a little snake to begin with. But then I had the corn snake for about 2 weeks, and then I was like, I need something bigger. But I didn't actually. It took me about another 2 years before I actually got my first ball python. So you started off with a champagne. So like, was that? So you said that was about a year after?
It was about a year, yeah.
Okay, and then was that male or female?
It was a female, yeah.
Okay. Did you? When did you sort of like get the next one after that? Was it close by, or did you leave it?
Yeah, I actually got my second snake from Rob Nash.
A Royal Blue.
A Royal Blue, yeah. He's quite local to me as well, and that was a butter. And at first I was just getting them for the genetics. Like, I was like, wow, they're so pretty. Wasn't really intending to breed them, to be honest. It was just like almost like the collection, you know, getting the different genetics and showing people and being like, look at how different they are, but the same snake. And people are still like that now. They're like, you've got, you know, how many snakes? They think they're all exactly the same, but they're not. People, you could educate people, but if you had to educate everyone, you'd be talking forever. Well, to be fair, we talk about ball pythons forever anyway. Like, well, I do, and to my friends who really couldn't care less, they're just like, oh yeah, all right, how much is that one worth? That's pretty much all they want to know. But so you got the butter next. When did it sort of like take off that you started getting more and more and more? Was it quite a quick thing? Surprisingly, I think it pretty much was the same time that I realised Doncaster existed.
Okay.
So, yeah. My hognose friend, he said, there's a Doncaster, like an annual Doncaster show, where you can go and buy all these snakes, and you can buy different species. And I was just like, wow, I never knew that was a thing. Because at that point I'd gotten like maybe 2-3 snakes just locally. And so we drove down there with, you know, all my snake friends. And we really took off from there. Like, we bought a few different royals. I can't really remember which came next, to be honest, because it kind of snowballed from there, definitely. But then I bought like a tortoise, I got chameleon, I got leopard geckos. I had a skink. Like,
oh wow,
I really had my own like little zoo at that point.
Yeah,
I don't think my mum walked into my room at that point. I think it was just to sort of like stand at the door frame and just peer in and be like, "You all right in there? You still okay? Yep, okay."
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, my mum wouldn't let me get any. I had to wait till I moved out before I could get any reptiles or anything. I had like a flat pack vivarium under my bed before I moved out. Like, so I knew I was going to get. I went and got a bearded dragon as soon as I moved out. I got 2 actually, and that was around that area. Where did I get them from? That was a shop in Whittlesea.
Okay.
I actually got 2 bearded dragons, but they both turned out to be male, so I had to let one go. Like one was like obviously the dominant one. He was like a normal size bearded dragon. They were both the same age, and then he had another one who was just like basically would get the scraps, but like I'd hand feed him and he still wouldn't eat, and it was like in the end I had to give him up. And so when did you, Pete, get into sort of this?
I mean, it was quite a way off. I met Marissa at work, and she basically had snakes. I never knew anyone that actually owned snakes as pets. I knew people did, but I didn't know of any at all. And I mean, was that 2017 kind of time?
Yeah,
So it's,
So I'd had mine for a while.
yeah, and she got me to hold a baby ball python, and it huffed at me, and at the time I was shit scared because I was like, I didn't know, I thought it was just gonna hiss and bite, and so I'm like holding this little tiny thing, and I'm like, oh.
I was so nervous because his hands are shaking so much.
But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. The only experience I had before that was in Australia. I was living out there for a year, and me and my mates did a kind of like animal sanctuary kind of animal experience, and we held this carpet python. And one of my mates I was with was deathly afraid of snakes. So like, whilst we were in the little waiting area, he went like ghostly pale. He was sat there shaking.
Wow.
And me and my other friend kind of went to the side, and we were like, we have to, like, no matter what happens, we have to make it like seem that everything is okay, like it's all comfortable. And yeah, everything kind of went fine. Matey, who was afraid of snakes, held it, and
yeah,
I think he went away kind of being like never again, but he was really proud that he did it.
What sort of size was that carpet python?
About the same kind of size as, say, an adult ball python, to be honest. Like maybe say 5 foot. It was about the same kind of weight. It was. I guess I'm not really knowledgeable about many snakes other than say ball pythons, because obviously that's kind of what we do now. But I would say it's probably a young adult maybe. Like, so, but yeah. Yeah, Marissa's the sole reason I'm kind of into ball pythons at all. It's kind of like
I eased them in.
It was Marissa's hobby, and I've taken it as like my adopted hobby, and now I'm fully into it. And we started with I think Marissa was showing me like YouTube videos to start me off, and just kind of almost ease me into the idea of owning a snake. So we'd watch all the usual people like Brian Barczyk,
Justin
Kabolka, you had Nerd, Miguel from AEP, and obviously Gav, balls to you. And yes, I think the thing that really truly set it off for me was I saw a video of Justin's, and he showed off this dreamsicle, and like my mind kind of exploded. I've never seen anything like, obviously Justin's kind of quality is ridiculous anyway, but to have that kind of beautiful, like the whites were pristine white, the lavenders and the oranges were so intense. And I remember going to work and talking to my mates and things and showing pictures of this dreamsicle, and like they didn't care, because like I've never mentioned snakes to them before. So suddenly I'm enamored by this snake. And and then we kind of ended up slowly moving into this house, and because I knew Marissa wanted snakes, because she left the hobby for a little bit.
I had to leave because I needed to buy a new house, and unfortunately, like I thought about leaving them with my parents or leaving them with my friends, but I didn't know how long it's going to take to get a house. And it was the right decision in the end, because it took a year for us to finally move into a new place. And honestly, finding a rented accommodation that accepts animals, especially reptiles, is hard enough. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but it was the right thing to do. Yeah,
it worked out in the end. Definitely.
I knew the hobby was so kind of like massive part of Marissa's life that I wanted her to keep snakes, but I guess I didn't know anything about it, like truly. So I guess I was a little bit kind of apprehensive. So I think Marissa kind of ended up going through just photos and videos and things, being like, you point out which ones you like.
I wanted him to like it, so I was like, what can I get that he would like, which might help me get more snakes?
Okay,
and naturally the pied was kind of where it ended up always falling. I like the difference. It's always the snake that if you're not into snakes, the pied will blow you away, because you don't expect seeing white on a snake. You think like all snakes are brown, black, green. And
Yeah.
then you get like a snakes with these beautiful white saddles and patches,
White and orange.
and it really does just kind of leave you like dumbstruck. It blows every perception of snakes out of your mind, like completely.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
that's kind of I think where we ended up going. Like Marissa said, she wanted to make sure that it was something that I kind of liked, so that she could slowly build her collection back up to where she's got like 30 animals plus, and we're kind of getting that way, to be honest.
Won't be long.
Okay. Yeah. So you said you met at work. What do you do for work?
Posty. So
Okay.
Royal Mail, and we're not one of the ones that actually go out in all weathers. We're in the actual office, basically sorting parcels, sorting letters, and making sure the actual posties that go out and do the deliveries get their stuff for the day.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. You work through the night, right? Is that right?
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
good
Night shift.
work.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So you said the first one you really blew your mind was a Dreamsicle. Do you actually own a Dreamsicle now?
We have a pied het lav. That's the closest we've got.
Okay.
But that is something we're aiming towards. And once she's up to a decent size, we'd like to find a male.
Okay. So when you got back into it, and what was the first? I'm guessing it was a pied that you picked up first of all. When you got back into it, was it just a normal pied or?
The first one that we got was a fire pied,
Okay.
and that's actually the same pied that we use in our logo.
Okay, cool. I think quite a lot of people do that actually with their like first snake. They'll do their logo based around their first snake. That's pretty cool. So when you had your snakes before, did you breed them then? Or?
I did, yeah. Again, it wasn't really like as structured as it is now. Like I have an idea of what I want to do now, whereas before I didn't really have much of an idea.
Yeah.
But I did actually breed that first snake that I got, that champagne, to a vanilla Enchi, and she gave me 9 really beautiful eggs. And I hatched those. But that was probably the only experience I've had in actual breeding.
So say you've had other clutches, but then because of the clutches hit the ground, but you didn't actually get to see them kind of hatch.
Yeah, because of my breakup with my ex.
Right, I see. Okay. Right, yeah. I see.
So I had gone through the process, but I didn't see it through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense. So how many animals do you currently have, roughly?
We have 22 at this moment, so it's relatively
small
compared to a lot of people that you've had. Like, a lot of people you've had in the podcast, they'll say like, "Oh, it's only a small collection, 180 or so."
Yeah,
it's like,
When someone says that, I'm just like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, you've got to have a lot of space, and so. Like I wasn't even prepared for some of who was it? Sunbury Serpents. I wasn't ready for the amount he had. Like, I didn't think he had anywhere near that. I was like, what? But no, are they all pied as well? They all pied?
21 are visual pieds.
I've got a champagne that's het pied. It obviously has the marker, so it looks like it's pied. But that's just a kind of little personal side kind of project, if you will. So I really like champagne, and there's various other little genes that if we weren't dealing with pied, I would own. Like bamboo, I would have so many bamboo, I think.
But the bamboo pied's white, so
yeah.
Champagne pied is white.
I've got to think that pieds, and that if it's a white pied, then I like it just as a kind of gene, apparently.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Sod's law. So how do you stay so disciplined? Like you must, like you say, you watch Justin and stuff like that. You see the stuff he's producing. Does that not make you want to go out and get other genes?
I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially when you see things like the Pompeii and the Batman and everything that Justin's doing, and not just Justin. Obviously, there's so many fantastic breeders, especially through Instagram and everything. You just flick through like pictures of snakes constantly, and then you get blown away by something. You just say, "Oh my god, what is that?" And it is hard. especially again, we go to Donny, or we did go to Donny quite regularly. You showed me the first Donny in 2018. I think we went to every single one after that until COVID. But
yeah, I've been to Houghton as well.
Okay.
Snake Day, and
I really want to do that
then as well. Yeah, it was really good. Like, I don't know how it would work now. I don't know with Brexit if you'd be able to bring anything back or how much that would cost. But yeah, when I
sure,
went,
you can put one in your suitcase or something. Just don't tell anyone. Just
well, we had them like in a poly box in the back of the car, because obviously before Brexit you could just do that.
Yeah.
And so we bought a couple snakes, put them into bags, had the heat packs, poly box back of the car. And we get to customs, and they say, "What's in the box?" You say, "It's full of snakes." And they go, "All right. Can you open it?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So I opened up all these bags and showed them all the snakes, and they're like, "Oh, can you take my picture?" And so I put them around the neck, took my picture. Customs guy let me on the boat, and we carry back. But yeah, it's a shame because it's a really good trip. They had so much stuff, a lot more variety than they have here. And a lot more species, and yeah, it's just a shame that I just don't think that's going to be as easy to do now.
Did you both go to Houghton, or was it just yourself?
So yeah.
Would you still go back? Maybe like if it's on this year, just for the experience, not to buy anything.
I think so. I think it's worth it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'd be incredibly jealous walking around. If I had any money, it'd be burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah,
I'm sure. But yeah,
being snake breeders, I think money burns a hole in our pockets wherever we go. I think pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I do think that one of the reasons why we try and stay on Pi is because I could very easily buy into anything. Really, I really do enjoy the hobby, but I've had such a variety of animals. Like I said, with the tortoise, chameleon, the geckos, just having the one species makes it a lot easier.
Okay, so you don't have any of that stuff now?
We have one Cresty as a display downstairs in our living room, but that's it.
Okay, that's cool. So speaking of Doncaster, do you think it will go ahead this year? Or the first show that's supposed to be in June?
I would like to think so. Obviously, it's completely down to everyone just being kind of a bit sensible. They've recently said, or the government have said, they're trialing a few events. I think there's a Liverpool music festival where they're going to have 5,000 people with no social distancing, no masks, and they're just going to kind of use that as a
experiment.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a few sport events. I think the FA Cup semi-final, or the actual final itself was going to have X amount.
So the semi-finals was yesterday and today, so I guess it'll be the finals.
Okay, yeah. So,
yeah.
But they're going to trial that and see if they can slowly integrate fans and people kind of being back at these big events and just see where it goes. So I would like to think that Donny would go ahead and it would hopefully be over by then, but you never know.
We'd like to go.
But yeah, it's like we said, we went to every Donny from 2018 to 2019. We were planning on going into Ham.
Yeah, we
late last year,
to go
and
to Ham.
yeah, and
really?
COVID kind of threw everything out of the window, and the world went mad, didn't it? So
yeah.
But,
sucks. Yeah, I hope it goes ahead. I get. Obviously, what was it for you? About 2 hours?
An hour and a half.
Yeah,
hour and a half.
About hour 15 if I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah. So yeah, for me it's about just over 3. So I think people who are quite far away are a bit concerned that they're going to drive all this way and there's going to be such a mad queue that people are going to be waiting outside for hours, and then by the time you get inside, a lot of stuff will be sold. And but then, a lot of people are also just going just to be social again, not actually going, because the June show is kind of early for the hatchlings as well. So there's
it's 2019. I think they introduced the April show for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was just to kind of squash another possible reptile show. I think they were talking about one in Birmingham. So suddenly IHS was like, we're doing one in April.
Like 1 week before.
Literally a week before the Birmingham one
Birmingham
was meant to
show.
happen. And but I can understand why they did it, because you know, you don't want random shows popping up and just anyone turning up, and you get like the things like PETA, those kind of groups coming in and like picketing, and it just, that would be bad kind of news for the hobby. And
the IHS is really careful with what they do, so they don't, you know, get in trouble. So you don't want another show ruining that.
But yeah, it's like you said, obviously, because it's early on in hatchling kind of season, you go there with the hope that you'll find something, but you don't necessarily do every time. And I guess
haven't bought many from the shows, really.
I was going to say, it helps with the fact that we're so selective with obviously pieds. Like, and there's so much kind of variety when it comes to ball pythons, but there's never really a massive kind of lot of pied combos, or certainly nothing that we have already. So yeah, it's
I've noticed that at the shows it's not just pied. I'm guessing it's sort of recessive, all recessives. There's not a crazy amount of recessives. A lot of hets, but visually, no, it's not there.
I guess it's just, you know, it's one of those typical things that if you hit a recessive, you're keeping it, and
pretty much,
Or are you selling it on Morph Market?
Oh yeah, a lot of people sell before they even get to Donny, let alone.
Yeah, I guess when you started first going to Donny, that Morph Market wasn't really a thing.
No. Like when I first got my snakes, it was off the reptile forums. Yeah,
and then you could buy off Facebook as well back then as well.
Good,
yeah.
I think that's where I got my first ball python from. A guy who's close by, found him on Facebook, went and picked it up. He told me it was a firefly, it was a pastel, but I won't get into that. I didn't know any different. I just wanted ball python, so it didn't really matter. But so when was your first breeding season with the podcast?
Technically speaking, this should be our first season.
Okay.
Of the breeders. Last year we had a ghost pied that we got multiple locks from with just a pied, because we were hoping to kind of
make more hets.
Make more hets in the intention of making a female ghost pied, pied, same thing. And I got really kind of excited about it and was really kind of, I guess, upping it on Instagram and like, oh, I'm really hoping for snakes. And I guess I got a bit too overexcited and we kind of missed the ovulation, and
she changed her mind.
Yeah, she ended up reabsorbing. So we were just like, and as you do, I guess I kind of went from that really excited level and just kind of slowly hushed about it, and just kind of,
Well, the ones we have now, we've bought them all as hatchlings, so we're raising them all up, so we don't have too many adult snakes, honestly. We've got 4 females at the moment that we're breeding, 1 ovulation, so we're hopeful that we're going to get at least 1 clutch this year. Hopefully, maybe the others will follow on a bit later.
Yeah. What was the pairing on the one you've got an ovulation?
Is a panther pied to a banana pied. So the banana.
What's a panther pie?
It's
good question.
It's a relatively new gene, kind of line bred from a guy in the Netherlands, Freek. I probably butchered his name, so
Freek is how I have heard it pronounced.
But it's spelled freak. But
Okay, right.
But it seems like from like discussions and things we've seen, like pictures and videos, it seems very similar to leopard. But leopards can kind of be lost in the pied gene. Like there's a lot of people that they'll put leopard into pied combos, and then when they get hatchlings, they're like possible leopard. I'm not sure. Right. I think a lot of people have kind of got a little bit better with like that kind of thing. But panther seems to, I guess, show really kind of dark, and it seems more prominent. I don't think there's been many people that have dealt with panther that then say like they can't tell it's involved.
I think it's more obvious in the combos. I think as itself, as a standalone, it's not too different.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, we've been very kind of, I guess, closely looking at Freg's kind of, I guess, Instagram. He's got his own kind of website. We always kind of double check.
We're going to be using as a reference.
Yeah, definitely. But it is a new gene to us. But to be honest, because we're quite close to Peter Rice, like he's down in March.
Yeah.
That's where we got it from.
We actually woke up one day. Marissa woke up a little bit earlier than I did. Was on Facebook and she saw this advert for Panther Pied. I think she woke me up and was just like, oh, "You've got to look at this snake and show me the photo."
Wake up.
And basically, I just kind of was just like, "How much?" And she was like, "I don't know." And it's like, "Do you want to phone him and just see if it's still there?" And within an hour, we were at the shop with it in our hands. Yeah, typical thing. Once we're holding it, we knew it was coming with us. So
right. Yeah, I think I've been to that shop once before. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff in there, definitely.
Yeah, it's got a collection of things.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. So what other pairings have you got this season?
We've got a pied to an Enchi pied, and they also had a pastel pied locked. It was very early on, so we're hoping to get a female Enchi out of that. But with it being multiple locks, obviously you never can tell.
Guarantee,
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Enchi pied would be the kind of, I guess,
ideal.
Ideal from that. And then the other pairings we've got is a pin pied to the hypopied and a yellow belly to the hypopied as well. So yeah,
okay.
Obviously hoping to make hets and then grow them on and just expand the kind of hypopied collection. I guess that's kind of where we want to kind of focus a lot of attention.
We've got a few things that are het hypo.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hypopies are amazing. I mean, to be fair, any double recessive looks really cool. I can't think of one double recessive where I've looked at it and go, yeah, no, they all look really, really cool. There's just trying to think of one. I was like, no, I can't think of one. So with the pie, do you like what am I trying to say? Do you like the low white or does it not matter?
I guess I'm more of a mid to low. I quite like the pattern, but I really like nice spacing.
Right.
For me, it's, I guess, because pied's the only kind of thing I know as far as ball python, and we've got such a variety. Obviously, we've got an Enchi, which is super, super low white. But then we've got a pinto pied, which is all white apart from the head, and even her face is like a kind of split pattern.
So she's only got one side of the face.
So it's like, yeah. So I get asked this all the time, and it's just like, I can't decide personally. It's like, I think it just depends on each gene, because like things like black pastel and cinnamon generally produce a high white. And so when you see a mid to low white black pastel or cinnamon, it really kind of grabs your attention. And the same with like an Enchi. If you find a mid to higher white Enchi pied, again, it really kind of commands your attention. You can't kind of just scroll past that willy-nilly. You have to like really focus on it.
Yeah. Python Junkie has asked, is there a visual super panther? Do you know?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd probably have to go onto his website to look at that.
Yeah, if you went on Freg Nuts, it would be I think he's actually got a couple on a Morph Market.
Yeah.
Actually, they're very expensive, but you can like see just kind of what the panther does, and it works insane with pastel and like super pastel. We've seen like super pastel, super panther pieds, and
we're hoping to do that ourselves.
Hopefully eventually, but it's obviously going to be a long project. He's also got something called a Strachey, which we believe is a banana panther pastel pied, and it gives this crazy kind of, the typical kind of I guess black pastel banana,
Mhm.
And that kind, it gives that, but then because you've got the pastel in there as well, you get these amazing kind of patches of fade. Almost like a super pastel.
It's very washed.
But
Okay.
yeah, again, because he's the only one that's kind of really done anything with it. And he's the one that kind of brought the gene out there. It's extremely expensive for the Strachey. I think $6,000 is what he's asking for, which yeah, we're
Wow.
talking silly kind of numbers. But again, it'd be like something that would hopefully hit far in the future. But yeah, we're not kind of really banking on it too soon.
No.
Just want to kind of work with Panther and make sure we know what we're actually doing, make sure we can kind of tell the signs when we've actually got a visual, and you know.
Yeah, I'm dreading getting a clutch and just not knowing what I'm looking at. That's
I hate that.
I'm dreading.
I absolutely. I can't stand not knowing what is in the animal.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Toby at Morph Matrix, and he's got stuff in his animals. I'm like, there's something else going on here, but I don't know what it is, and that would drive me nuts if that was my animal. I'd have to know. Like, it would do my head in. We've got a few stragglers coming in. How you doing, Marv? Andy, hello. So with the pieds, I know Enchi and Pinstripe make like a low white. Is there anything else that helps with the low white pieds, gene wise?
I'm trying to think.
I like how we're both looking over.
Yeah, we're looking over the rack.
There's a lot of mid-white stuff.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Enchi is generally the main one that comes up, and it tends to be the one that if you've got a high white animal, you put an Enchi to it, trying to bring back the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Pinstripe is really kind of dominant as a gene anyway. I'm trying to think, because we got into this habit where, for some reason, all of our males were really
they're all really
low white, and so it's almost kind of hard to disassociate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have quite a bad gender ratio at the moment as well, to be honest.
I was going to ask actually.
Yeah.
What is the ratio?
About 50-50, really.
Yeah, almost half.
Okay.
It's just some genes, obviously, we want, say, like the Enchi, we'd love in a female, but trying to find someone that's giving up a Enchi pied female, you just can't.
We just couldn't find one at the time. Same thing with OD and Black Pastel. We want them in female, but first of all, the price is outstandingly different. So we had to make our own.
But that's even if someone's willing to give one of those up, of course, you know. It's,
so we went for high quality.
I don't think it's as bad having that sort of ratio when you're pretty much only working with pied, because you know, if you get like 6 eggs from a male Enchi pied, you should, in theory, hit a female Enchi pied. Like, it's not like you work with hets or, you know.
No.
Yeah, obviously everything being visual pied makes the percentages a lot higher than, like you say, hets or even post hets, and then you going into some interesting territory, I guess.
I'm sure we'll get there eventually, because we do have a few post het, we've got pieds that are post het something else.
Right,
and so we're going to get there eventually. We've got a couple that are post het ultramel, and so maybe one of those prove out. I mean, hopefully they both will.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think the ultramel pied would be a dream kind of animal, especially if it did happen out because of the two we've got, the post hets. But we're not banking on it. But you know,
the het lab is also 100% het albino. So again,
I think who was it? Gav posted a ultramel pied the other day. I think it was a picture from Excite Ball Pythons. I think that was his picture, and that looks pretty amazing. So what sort of racking system are you using at the minute?
Well, funny you should say that because we spent all day building a rack.
Oh,
We just bought an LP rack.
okay.
So it was quite hard to get, well, not too hard, but because of Brexit, we had to do quite a lot of legwork, a lot of paperwork just to get it over, but it was worth it in the end. So it's a LP rack, but it's got the Freedom Breeder tubs.
Yeah.
And because most of our collection is like we've grown ourselves, we haven't got too many adults. We've got 8 adult spaces or 6 adult
We've got
spaces?
6 at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, B70s
Yep.
for the big females. We don't even have
Mhm.
that many big females to fill that.
Yeah.
And we bought this as a FB20. So because the
Mhm.
hatchlings were starting to get a little bit large for their enclosure, so they needed something larger.
Okay, excellent. So
Yeah,
let's just talk quickly about yeah,
There it is.
that looks really cool, really nice. So let's just talk about like because I guess people might be interested to know sort of what you had to do to get it over here, like after Brexit, what sort of like paperwork wise and stuff. So what did you actually pay for it after Brexit and everything started after Brexit, or like
It's after Brexit completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
so like
yeah,
just talk about like the process and what did you have to do to get it over?
Sure, yeah. I spoke to Jesper, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he explained that I needed an EORI number. So you have to go through the Gov UK website
Right.
and apply for an EORI number. You can do so as a business, but you can also do so as an individual. So that really didn't take too long, but you had to
Right.
wait for your emails to come back, the confirmation. It gives you your sort of like your portal password and everything like that.
Right.
Very typical government website fashion. It says like anyone can apply, and then it only gives you the kind of button to apply as a business. And so doing it as an individual, you have to scroll through pages and pages trying to find the relevant links, and
Basically, it was a ball ache.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as you gave him those details, he was able to send it. But then it gets to customs. Customs want their custom charge, and they also want to know how much VAT you're paying. So you need to go through the government website again to find out what the VAT is on that item you bought, and you have to search through it yourself.
Okay.
We
actually went on to, because we're part of Gav's Discord, balls to you.
vetoed that.
Yeah.
I just asked on there.
We actually asked on there, does anyone have any information regarding this? Has anyone done it? And we got a message from someone just being like, yeah, I used to be a like an importer for like a warehouse importer, and so he had like all the numbers basically off the top of his head, and so he just went,
Oh, wow.
it's this one.
Yeah.
And then he messaged back and then went, actually, is it plastic or metal? If it's metal, it's a different number, use this one. If it's plastic, use this one. And we were like, oh my god, like that saved us so many, just like, I guess, hours going through this entire list and being like, is it this one? I don't know.
It's the kind of website where you click on a link and it sends you to another website where you have to click on another to the end, and you realise that's not right, so you have to go back. And so, yeah, hopefully now it'll be much easier to do it again.
Yeah. So I was looking at the minute I've got Alurax, and I kind of I've got basically a few spare and whatnot, but I was like, right, I need to go, I want more, I'm going to go bigger, I want to buy something once and then that's done.
Okay.
So I was looking at LP or carry on with Alurax, and I was sort of swaying the way of LP, but obviously with Brexit came in, and like you say, it's a ball ache. But fortunately, I found someone who was getting out of the hobby, and they'd just bought it like just before Brexit. So like, I bought his whole load of racks. Like I think it was like, I can't actually remember now, but I think it was like 50. Was it 30 FP40s and 20 70s? So I was like, yeah, I'll have them. Yeah. Like, I haven't got to worry about getting them over here. They're already over here. Boom, done.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. But no, that's really interesting to kind of speak about how to get them over here. I guess you're dead happy with them.
Yeah, we've only had it for like literally like 12 hours, to be honest, but I'm already more than happy with it. It's such a good product. Look, it's very sturdy, and it's just so pleasing to look at.
It's
as well.
very professional looking as well, and like the other racks we've got are fine. I always forget the name of the material.
They're like a melamine rack.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are
Are they like homemade or?
No, we bought them from
OTR, I think, via Facebook. I don't think he's doing it
He's not doing it anymore.
I think he literally.
Okay.
I think he, because of the whole COVID thing, I think it became too much, and I think he recently just said, "I'm not doing it anymore. However, if you're interested in building these yourself, message me, and I'll give you all the kind of blueprints in order to do it." And so I thought that was kind of cool.
That's
but,
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And the tubs are all V18s, V35s, and V70s. So.
Okay. So, what substrate do you use?
We use Herp Husk. Yeah.
Herp Husk.
We were on paper for quite a while, and then Paul at Urban Constrictors brought ReptiChip in. We tried that. We tried Herp Husk, and to be honest, we just found that Herp Husk seems to work for us, so we've stuck with it. To be fair.
Yeah, each to their own.
Yeah, as I think with ReptiChip, we got it, and I guess we never really used a kind of cocoa substrate before, so we probably didn't put like enough water in and things like that. So like we were kind of playing around with it, but with Herp Husk, I think we knew a little bit more about what we were actually how to do it, and so we're just kind of happy with it, and it's just stuck, to be honest.
I think it depends on your rack, because the melamine rack we have has quite a big space at the top, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
And so I don't know if that doesn't hold the humidity very well. So now that we've got the new racks, I have no idea. So we're going to have to
play around with it again and see what works. Yeah.
So before I had the Alu racks, I had the who is it? The stacks.
Herp Exotics.
Yes, Herp Exotics. I had them racks, and obviously there's no gap for moisture to escape in there. So I know people who are using them who still use like ReptiChip and Herp Husk, and they're kind of like, it's just soaked all the time. So I know a lot of people who use that actually have gone over to like Lignasil.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of people recently have said they've gone on to Lignasil for that kind of reason, and it seems quite popular, to be fair. But
yeah, I keep chopping and changing. I run out a bag of Lignasil. I'm like, right, I'll try ReptiChip again. But yeah, I guess like you say, with the LP, I think they've got a slight gap. I think you should be all right with like what you use at the minute. Cool. Is there? Carry on.
I was going to say it's all just kind of relative to we obviously play around with it and just make sure that the snakes are kind of comfortable, and then if Herp Husks works, we'll stick with that. If it means that we've got to go on to say Lignasil or any other substrate, then it's obviously down to keeping the snakes healthy and happy at the end of the day. So
Gav mentioned he had something new.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
No, we all know he mentioned something new. But...
Yeah, but I can't think what it's called.
There's so many coming out at the minute.
So I think about trying that as well.
Okay. Yeah, it all depends, like you say, on the racks, and it depends as well if you're keeping your snakes in a bedroom, if you're keeping them outside as well, and everyone has what they like, and
There was a brief period where there was like almost like substrate wars and things, and people were like really having to go at each other over like using one particular brand over another, or if you use like paper or Lignasil versus cocoa, and it's just like if it works
Yeah.
for you, it works.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, again, it's the whole kind of like why a lot of people don't like Facebook. It's like you don't need to have a go at people for, you know, if it works for them, but it doesn't work for you, then great. You know, it doesn't work. You don't need to then have a go at that person because they've got a different opinion to you. And like you said, it's like we're based in a bedroom here. Someone else could have a facility. Someone else could be in a garage. So it might not necessarily work for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it just, I don't know, I find it a bit crazy when people are kind of willing to argue over nothing. It's a very strange kind of phenomenon. It's social media in general, not just, you know, the snake hobby. But
Yeah. So how long have you been using Instagram? Like I said beforehand, I've only been using it since like the first lockdown. Have you been using it a lot longer for your snake pictures and whatnot?
yeah, I mean, technically, when we got the FirePied from Donnie, that's when we actually started. We set up an Instagram account. I think subconsciously, Marissa kind of said, "Why don't you do an Instagram?" And then made me kind of like in charge of it, I guess. So it meant that if I wanted to take photos of the snakes to put them on, I had to be the one to go and handle them. I had to kind of get used to suddenly, opening the drawers, seeing what they're like.
This is my
actually,
method.
yeah.
Oh, well
It works
played.
really
Well
well.
played.
It really did work well. And if there's a lot of photos and videos on the Instagram now, but if you scroll down to like the very first few photos we've got, it's like the worst lighting. I made this, what was meant to be a terrible logo is just like the Piedcast in bubble font, which I then coloured in using like a cheap Photoshop kind of substitute. And it's funny to look back on it now.
Yeah.
And but like that was only really say 2.5 years ago, but it's still, that's a long time, obviously, in any kind of hobby. But it's just generally I've tried doing an Instagram photo video almost every day if I can, but
Right.
obviously it's not possible all the time, but I just try and do it as much as I can.
So when I get people on here, I sort of have a look through their Instagram, and a lot of people, I'll get to the bottom, but yours, I was just kept going, kept scrolling. I was like, damn, how many pictures are on here?
Oh, really? I didn't even know.
I think we just hit 750 roughly, because obviously it's 2 years, and if I try and do one every day, it quickly builds up, and it's got to a point of like, obviously we've only got 22 snakes, so that's not a huge collection by anyone's standards, but I'm having to make notes on bits of paper so I can try and rotate which snakes are kind of featured each time, just so that like I'm not boring everyone, because obviously,
but then someone's in shed or someone's just eaten,
so I have to almost do like a week's worth of kind of planning to be like, oh, they've just had a photo recently, so I can't use them, but they're in shed and they've just eaten. So it's I'm
sure when you've got like 180 snakes, that's not a problem.
I mean, I think I've only got probably a few more than you at the minute as well, so I know exactly what you're saying. Like I'm sure I took a picture of that the other day, but like when I'm downstairs taking pictures, I haven't got no internet, so I can't go back and check. So I'll just take a picture of like 2 or 3 just to make sure I've got myself covered if I already took a picture of one. I think
a good way for us with that is, I mean, we do get obviously internet kind of connection through the snake room, but we had a little period where people were stealing photos of ours and then typical going on Instagram or Facebook, setting up like random accounts and trying to sell them as their own.
Right.
And, like it was a typical kind of thing where someone would take a picture of an albino pied and then just claim it was an albino and try and flog it for stupid kind of like money. And so people saw through it like immediately. People let us know very quickly that like these scammers were kind of working. So now, like, it takes a little bit away, I feel, but I kind of go put everything
Watermark
onto my
everything.
laptop and watermark everything now, so that like we can try and avoid that. And it's not necessarily for us, but it's more like I would hate to know that someone's lost like 100, 200 pounds because this like
They thought they were buying an animal.
yeah, and this arsehole scammed them out of money and then just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, you know, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Like in any kind of stretch of the imagination. But
The community's really good for that though, because they were really quick.
Yeah. I know. There's a bit in Gav's Discord as well.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Just to warn people if there's someone about, which is very handy.
So there's someone in America as well. I don't know if you know him. Is that Ecomorphs?
I think I follow him.
Okay, because recently I think his Instagram got hacked, so he had to set up a new one. The person that's hacked the old account is now sending emails and messages out to people being like, "Oh, I've got all these snakes for sale," and someone, I think it was High Desert Pythons, actually managed to get the scam up on an Instagram live, called him out, and he's like, "Yeah, why are you doing this, man?" And he's just like, "Oh man, you know what? It works been really hard."
It's not an excuse.
Yeah, obviously it's no excuse, but he's like, "Oh, I'm definitely going to change my ways." Literally 5 minutes after he got off this live, he started emailing and messaging people, and he's still at it now. He's setting up accounts,
Yeah.
and it's like if you put that amount of effort into just, you know, like
Anything
any
else.
kind of work or doing anything,
Yeah.
honestly, he would make a fortune. But he's determined to try and scam people out of this kind of pocket change. It's mind blowing, really, to be fair.
Was this recent?
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
going on. Every now and again, if you go on his on Ecomorph's stories, you'll get like all the sorts of people that are sharing, just being like, "This scammer's up to it again. Oh, I just got a phone call from this guy. They've shared the phone number." Obviously, it's American based, but yeah, it's insane thinking that like you even got caught like trying to do it, and you've still got the fucking balls to
keep going.
then keep emailing the same people trying to get the money out of them. It's just mind-boggling, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been scammed snake-wise or anything like that. I have been done buying like DJ equipment before.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When I look back at it, I'm like, "You dumb motherfucker!" Like, even when I sent the money across to Fred West. Like,
Right.
of all the names, I'm like, Jesus, man. I should have saw that was a scam for a long time. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, £200 out of pocket, but hey ho, it could have been a lot more. So
Yeah, I guess unfortunately it's it's something you've got to chalk down to learning curve and like learning experience, isn't it? And so it's like, yeah, I think anyone that like in this hobby or like any hobby, to be fair, if you get scammed once, that's one of your kind of major tips and bits of advice is just kind of always look into the person you're buying. I think you've mentioned it on a podcast before where like you'll go like even on Morph Market and then you'll check if they've got an Instagram and like various other websites and things that they can showcase, and it's just a good practice, isn't it? So
yeah, and going back again to Gav's Patreon and whatnot, you can always ask people in there if they've had dealings with this person and stuff like that. It's so helpful. I mean, what I pay like £10 a month for Gav's Patreon. It's so handy. Especially now because I think you joined not all that long ago.
it was quite recent, to be fair.
Weeks, right?
Yeah, I think we joined Billy's one, and then we were kind of I'm in an about it with like whether we should or not, and we were just checking it out, and then Gav kind of put his on again. We were in an and then we thought to ourselves like, because
if it's not a snake, we consider whether or not we spend money.
Yeah. Like as silly as the in like you said £10, so like it's not really that much in hindsight at all. But when eventually we kind of sat down and we thought, because it's obviously UK based kind of community, and it's just getting to know a lot more people, and like obviously the Billy one's good, like mutation creation and things, but it's going to be very rare, if at all, that we're going to buy from anyone who's kind of popping in there, you know, on a regular basis. Whereas the UK one, especially with Brexit now, obviously the market should hopefully get stronger. And it's just getting your name out there and kind of connecting with people and hopefully make some mates along the way. So
exactly. Seems a lot of people are jumping on the Patreon bandwagon in the last week or so. I see Justin's done it, and AEP, And, so
Ball Pythons 101, I think, has also kind of announced it recently as well. It's not quite as you know, the same as Justin or
Miguel, after his outburst.
Well, you're making the opinion, so you don't need to say anymore.
Okay, I didn't realise he'd started one up as well. That's interesting. Definitely interesting.
A lot more kind of low key, than the other guys, but apparently he's got enough people that are kind of sticking with him to make it a thing. But each to their own, kind of, you know. It's obviously after the outburst, I think a lot of people have kind of stepped away, and they thought to themselves, is it worth following this guy? And the way it is, unfortunately.
But I'm sure some people defend him tooth and nail, so you know.
Go back to Pied and that. What are you looking to add to your collection?
There's quite a lot of genes I think we would love to own, but
just difficulty getting them. I think it's the main thing.
I have a tendency to like genes that brighten up, and I think just thinking about that, I would love to have a few kind of extra genes that would really kind of darken like some patterns. So GHI, I would love Cypress, but getting that would cost an arm and a leg. Blackhead would be good as
Mahogany.
Well. Again, these are all kind of really high end kind of stuff when you're putting them in pied. So
the availability is just not great for those animals as well.
But for the longest time, we were looking at like OD just pied, and we were wondering, are we ever gonna like get the chance to get it? Excuse me. But we luckily found someone that had one available, male, again, because the price for female would be astronomical. And again, OD pied female, are you going to let it go? Probably not. So we ended up getting that, and we were lucky to get it. It's just before Brexit as well. So
it's like the doors are closing. We just
And as you know, obviously you've had a snake where it's in Germany or France or whatever, and suddenly they're saying, it'll be an extra 200, 300 quid just to get it over there. And it's unfortunate for certainly a lot of people, and we were very lucky to miss that. So still doesn't stop us from being on Morph Market and then finding a German breed and being like, if only. But,
but I guess if you're only working with the pied like visuals, and you don't want to go the het route and stuff like that, if you found it in Europe, it probably would be worth you paying the extra to get it back in some cases.
I think when you go into the kind of things like, say, Cypress, Mahogany, those kind of, they're 2 or 3 snakes worth of money. So it would make sense to then, like, if we're going to pay that kind of amount, what's an extra, 200 quid? And that makes us sound really privileged. But
I like how that's how you measure money's worth in snakes. It's 3 snakes worth.
When we go shopping, when you go shopping and it's 80 quid, and you go, that's a royal, like. We could be having, but I think there is a lot of genes we would love, especially certain kind of recessives. Obviously, Dreamsicle we mentioned Ultramel. There's a lot of things that people are starting to play around with. Stranger is popping up a lot, and Desert Ghost is another firm favourite. Certainly the hot one recently.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think we're going to have to just bite the bullet, and like if we're lucky enough to get things that are het pied, and we'll just have to, take the chance on the hets. I guess we.
Would you not go the route of just buying the visual, like say buy a visual male Desert Ghost just to breed just to get a load of eggs for one season, and you can sell it on. Then you've got like the double hets that you put together in a few years' time.
I think so, but the ideal would be to get a female, and you know how difficult that is.
Yeah.
So, but I do think though, in a couple of years' time, they're going to be really popular, and there's going to be a lot out there.
Yeah.
So it might just be something to wait on and eventually invest into.
And we're not really rushing.
We're not rushed, no.
Because obviously, again, we're lucky that everything we've got apart from one is kind of a visual combo pied. So like pinstripe pied, Enchi pied, hypo pied. But just trying to make like multiple kind of combos. Like if you want 3 genes in one of those animals, that's going to take us like 5 years, including the 2.5 years that we've like grown them up from hatchlings. So like once you go into like double recessives, even triple recessive, you're looking at 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's if you're lucky, if you hit everything like exactly the way you want it. Obviously, there's sometimes you're going to miss, and so you have to draw it again.
But we're okay with that.
Yeah. We're hopefully in it for the long haul, and just like I said, no race. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then we'll try again.
Yeah. So you said you got 22 at the minute. Where I guess you will expand on that. Where do you reckon you feel comfortable numbers-wise getting to?
I think we've discussed it, and I think we've kind of keep a cap at around 50-ish.
Yeah, I think we could manage 50, no problem. I think we would be a bit cautious after that, so we try 60, but then try 70, but we'll try not to get out of control.
So how many people like they go from 1 to then like 30, and then they go from 30 to like 100 to 200, then suddenly it's all kind of a bit too much for
fun
them
anymore. So we're trying to take it slow.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 of us, it might not be too bad.
Yeah, and you're both passionate for it, so you're not taking time away from sort of each other to do the snakes. You're both doing it together.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, like, it takes away from my family time. But for us, it's still family time. If we finish a shift at work, whether it be at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we come upstairs and we just start feeding or whatever our snakes together. So I guess I do the majority of that.
That's pretty cool.
I'm a lot better now. We're not seeing.
He's better than he used to be. Yeah. He's slow. I'll tell you that.
Me feeding is my reaction time is not great. I've got a lot better, but like thinking back on it, the first time I tried feeding one of these royals, I was like petrified. I kind of like dropped the rat several times.
That's annoying.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Because we feed them exclusively at night, so we only feed them between probably about 1 in the morning on a day off, or like 5 in the morning, like when we're working. And so they've really good, a really good system going on. They know when they're getting fed, and so when you open a drawer, they're ready and waiting. Like you could come here in the day, and you could probably put your face in any drawer and there'll be no problem. But if you do that in the evening and night, if you stick your face in any of these tubs, you're gonna know about it.
Yeah, they're having you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I feed mine at about 11:30, 12 every feeding.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty much the same. Mind you, I've got some arsehole snakes who don't matter what time it is, that they're ready to take your face off. I've got one. So a few of my drawers are at height head level,
Yeah.
So I have to get on tippy toes. And I opened one the other day and something caught the corner of my eye. So I just looked away. And as I looked back, just missed me by about that. But luckily, she's only about 400 grams. So, you know, if she would have tagged me, it's not like a full size female smacking me in the face. But scared the crap out of me, actually.
Yeah, you might want to lower her a little bit in that. Just draws down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was funny, but I can laugh at it now. But it was, yeah, like I say,
at the
I was
time,
like, Jesus Christ, where'd that come from? Sort of, bitch.
Yeah. But one girl who has terrible aim, so she gets excited for foods, but then as soon as she lunges, you have no idea where she's going to go.
Right. Yes, I have a female like that. She's a spider cinnamon OD.
The spider poison.
And yeah, she got no wobble or anything like that, but she just goes a little bit funny at feeding time. Like she'll strike and miss loads. Like you've got to be quite wary of where your fingers are. You'll be holding the tongs and she'll just go right past the meal, right up the tongs and catch you on the hand. But no, like I said, when I first started, I had a corn snake. So when I first got into it, I had these little tongs that are about like
tweezers, yeah,
pretty much. And then I moved on to a royal. I'm still feeding with these. Yeah. So I went out and bought some. I went out recently and got another pair as well. Who was it? The Ashley's Living Art.
Yeah.
She does a load of like the tongs and stuff like that, and so I recently picked up a set of them. They're really cool, actually. The scissor sort of ones where you don't have to keep. Yeah. They're really handy. So yeah, what sort of you said about Desert Ghost and stuff like that? Would you are you looking to maybe do Clown as a double recessive?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Yeah. We're just at the moment we actually have like a list, haven't we? Like of UK breeders, what they're pairing, and just keeping tabs.
And again, like you said about the whole kind of Desert Ghost thing, and then putting a Desert Ghost visual to a pied, and then making the double hets for the future. I think there's certain genes that we're probably going to have to do that with. If we're lucky, we can get a pied het clown. But again, we're not going to completely discount the fact that we might have to get a clown and go that kind of way.
Or get a visual clown that's possibly hepatied and
just see, if we're lucky and things like that. We're lucky to have all visuals at the moment, but we're not opposed to going that way. I think we're going to have to inevitably do that eventually, but
honestly, I could have my own clown collection. Like, if I had the money, I would quite happily like have complete separate collection, just all clowns.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Do you breed your own rodents or anything like that?
No. When I had my previous collection, I did buy some Maltese with the intention of doing that, but I got attached to them, and then they just became some like a group of pets that wouldn't stop breeding, and it was awful. So never again.
Okay.
I don't think I've got the heart for it, honestly. I understand they need to eat, and if I had a snake that wasn't eating, it would be an option. But I don't think I'm into the smell, first of all, and then the time and the effort really takes away from it. So I'm happy just to buy, frozen.
Yeah.
We don't have any problem feeders, really.
No.
We're quite lucky. We've managed to get our problem feeders eating, so
that's good.
Yeah.
So I think in the entire 2 and a bit years that we've been doing this, I think we've only ever had to throw away something like three rats or 3 mice or whatever. We always had someone.
We've got a few dustbin snakes.
Yeah. Like, I think
they're always good, handy.
Yeah. I think we're very cautious just to, if someone's in shed, obviously we then take that into account. So we're always on the kind of a little bit more cautious side, because if we need to get more food, then we can. Whereas if you make like, you know, the entire collection worth of food and then suddenly 5 of them aren't eating, then you've got the possibility of waste. But a lot of people have things like, you know, tegus and that kind of thing, so they can mop up afterwards. But yeah, I just think we're very lucky, and like Marissa said,
we don't have an awful lot as well, so it's not really a problem as well.
Yeah.
We've got like 60, 70, and then you're doing half one night, half the other night. That's when you might have some issues.
Do you feed all yours in the same night, or do you split it up?
No, just all at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all good, and like they all know the routine now, so yeah, they know that if we're come back from work, the light gets flicked on, then they're pressing their face against the tub. They know what's coming, so
you see their noses run along the little gap back and forth. Okay, you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any? So you've had other reptiles before. Is there any other thing you'd like to add, like now? Like different species of snake or something like that?
Yeah. You know what? I never got that rosy boa, and I've been thinking about it recently. I wouldn't mind that. But recently we talked to Clubmore, and he was talking about his hybrid.
It's angry balls.
Angry balls, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I have always wanted an Angolan because it's just a larger version of a ball python, really. Yeah. They got the same face and everything, and I really love the sweet face of a ball python. I think it's really what attracts me to them. But yeah, an angry ball would be interesting. Like, I know some people really don't like hybrids. It's something that, again, is people seem to, you know, love or hate. But I think it would be interesting to see what happens with that, whether the morphs can like transfer over or not. Either way, I guess that's for snakes. As for other reptiles, I'm not sure. I did enjoy having my chameleon. I had him for a long time, actually, male chameleon, and I do miss him sometimes. Towards the end of his life, he lost all his colour and he went grey, and kind of went a bit translucent. But he was really nice to have. My dad really enjoyed him as well because he really liked feeding the chameleon long term. So
what does a chameleon feed on? What's their diet?
So it's like you know, most of it is like powdered, you know, calcium, locusts, crickets.
Okay.
You can use like waxworms, silkworms, but not too often because it's very fatty.
Right, I see.
Nothing like fruit or like veg, that kind of thing. No.
Okay, right. Okay. So yeah, go back to the angry ball. That would be quite an interesting like side sort of pet sort of thing because it is very similar to a ball python, but it's different. I keep thinking of maybe getting something to put on display away from the rest of the snakes just to have something to show off because you have ball pythons, but they're in the racks and they're not really on display. I guess that's the only bad thing I don't like about the racks is, you know, once they're in there, you don't really get to see them all that much unless you're cleaning them or, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at something to have on display. I'm kind of thinking going with a white-lipped. I think they're really cool. But so I did have Andy on here not all that long ago, and that was the first time I actually realised I might be able to get one in this country because before I spoke to him, I couldn't find one anywhere.
Yeah. I think I did see Houghton.
Yeah.
Not
so, in Houghton, they've got what's it called? The hot room. Is that right?
Yeah, during Snake Day, they have a lot of varied species, and they have.
Yeah, so the hot room has got all the venomous stuff in. Yeah, I mean that's really cool. I can't wait I hope it goes ahead this year. To be honest, get over there, check that out. Anyway, guys, it's been an hour and a half. I appreciate your time, and I hope you get plenty of clutches that you want this season. Be nice for you, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye, see what's going on with your collection. Obviously, we're both in Gav's Patreon, so I guess be keeping up to date on there as well and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate your time today, guys. And hopefully, like I say, if you've got eggs on the ground and you've got like hatchlings in 4 or 5 months, might get back on and do a second round with you.
That'd be really good.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And,
no problem.
If we do get clutches, you'll know about it. I'm going to show it off everywhere. So
proud dad sort of.
Yeah. That's going on the fridge, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Measuring it in the doorway.
Yeah.
What would you do? I can imagine you'd like taping an empty eggshell to the fridge door.
Oh no. Picture of me with like just an egg. Like.
Wow.
You got all this to look forward to.
He's going to be stuck to the incubator door.
Oh yeah, I really am. But
yeah, I'm not too bad. Like the first 30 days, I can go without looking.
Right. Yeah.
But then when it gets after that, I'm just like, come on, Jesus Christ! Like,
yeah.
So this clutch I had a few weeks ago. Normally I'd wait for something to pip, but I was a little concerned with the eggs, so I did cut them on day 55. But that's probably the only time I've actually cut without a pippage or something. But
Fine.
like you say, you're going to be stuck to the incubator door. But it's all good fun. That feeling of when you actually do see a head sticking out of the egg is just like that for me was. So I had 2 snakes that I bred, and I got eggs. And when them heads popped out of the eggs was when I was like, right, I need more snakes. And that's when it went crazy for me.
The turning point for a lot of people, I think, as well. Right.
Yeah. Like I say, I went from like 2 to about 20 in a few months. Yeah. A lot of them were just, I haven't got that. That's close to me. I've got that money here. And then sort of like 4 months later, I'm going, now what am I actually going to do with that? Like most people do. Like 95% of people actually do that. But,
that's what we're trying to avoid, really.
Yeah, but like you say,
it's very easy.
Yeah, money burns a hole in the pocket.
Definitely.
Very easily. But anyway, appreciate your time, guys. I'll speak to you later. Thank you very much.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Well, guys, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I just want to say that I know I haven't posted the last episode ready for download on the podcast platforms because I've run out of data because Marv went shut up a few weeks ago. So he used all my data. So I've got to wait till the end of the month to stick these ones on. So when the 1st of, what are we in now? April, the 1st of May, there'll be plenty of podcasts for you to listen to. And like I say, if you listen to this on the podcast, make sure you get across and subscribe onto YouTube. Appreciate the love. And if you want stickers, give me a shout. I'll sort them out, send them to you, even if you're not going to send me any back. But guys, it's Sunday. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'm out of here. I will see you later.